Hey everybody, we are back in Monstropolis, and today we're going to continue the build exercise for this toy box. Last time we built Mike and Sully Street, and now we're going to build the rest of their neighborhood. Let's start with some screenshots of that area from the Monsters, Inc. movie, and let's begin by revisiting this photograph of their street. I want you to notice the buildings at the end of the street. There appears to be a cross street down there, and the buildings on the opposite side of that street look very much like the buildings on Mike and Sully Street. So we have more of the same kinds of buildings down there. Notice too, the buildings are short enough to be able to see the taller domed buildings in the distant background, and that will be important in our build. Now, as Mike and Sully walk to work, they pass by a number of sidewalk cafes and stores. So we need to include some of these kinds of places in their neighborhood as well. This one is a cafe, and here we have a small grocery store with stands of fruit. And here's another shot of that. And here's a fine art gallery that's just past the grocery store, so there's definitely a variety of shops here. After this, they cross a street, and you can see there's another apartment building behind them. So the neighborhood is a mix of shops and apartment buildings, and that's actually good for our build, because we don't want to just build the same apartment building over and over again. Variety is a good thing. It makes the world more interesting, and it makes each area unique. So this is what we're going to try to build using the limited number of building pieces that we have available in the toy box. And let's start by putting in the buildings, and then we'll work on adding all of the little details. And we'll start here on this end of Mike and Sully Street. The raised area is down there beyond that. And we're going to begin on this corner. And let me pull up my screen grabs here so I can recreate this for you exactly as I had it. This building is in Building Sets Group 2. It's going to go right on the corner like this. And then we'll put this building right next to it. And I'm going to use a little bit of a mix of buildings. We don't want to just put the same building in there side by side. That would be too repetitive. This building is going to sit flush with the corner of that building. So like you see there. And again, try to mix this up a little bit. We can use these down here too, by the way. And maybe put this one here on the end. The other thing you should note too, if you've never really looked at these buildings, is they're different on every side. So depending on how you rotate these, you can get a lot of use out of them. So just a little helpful tip. But this is why we didn't bring the apartment buildings out close to this street as we did on the other side of it. We had left a bit of a smaller gap here, and we'd left a larger gap here, and this is why, because I wanted to leave room for these buildings. Alright, now we'll come over here and come to this side, and let me get to that part of my build. And we're going to need these taller buildings, so let me pick this up and put it down. That gets us back to this part of the editor. And we're going to fit this right up here in this little cubby, just like you see there. And then back down to Building Sets Group 2. We're going to put some more small storefronts along here. And we'll put two of those down for a little bit longer cafe. And let's see, if we put down this one, but maybe we put it like that for something different. We also have these. Let me see, I think I used this corner. Whoops. Nope. Sorry. wrong button. All right. I think I had a doorway underneath there, though, but I can't remember where that ended up. Maybe it was... Oh, here it is. Sorry. This was the building I used. Looks a little bit like a movie theater. That's the one I was looking for. I thought it was one of these other ones that I had just turned. Sorry about that. Here we go. And then we'll put some taller buildings behind those. So one of those, a couple of these. I now again want to raise this up because we're going to put a foundation underneath this. And we can find that down in the terrain category. And I've already styled this with the same style we used for the underside of these buildings over here, which is the toy box terrain theme. And again, if you're going to use the other option that I presented at the end of the previous video, then you would go ahead and do that here as well. But make sure this sticks out a little bit, because we're going to put a storefront on the facing on the front of this a little bit later. All right, let's get back to this part of the editor. And let's go ahead and put that there with the little window, just for something different. Back up to buildings. Again, remember to raise that up. We'll put a little bit different building here on side of it. I'm going to drop this all the way down. We'll put one more on the end and we'll just leave this on the ground. Okay, and then we need a foundation underneath that other building. And we'll put something behind these. I think we'll reuse this building. I like having something behind there to close that in because those buildings are kind of short. And it makes it look like the city goes a little bit more beyond what you have here that you see on the street. So now that's starting to take shape, and that looks pretty good. All right, on this side, we're going to leave this mostly open so we can enjoy the Sky Dome. But we're going to put the Monsters, Inc. tower here. And you find that in set pieces. And we have to scroll down a little bit to find that. Here it is. The Monsters University Clock Tower. And I want to kind of try to center it on this piece of racetrack here. And that's pretty close. This doesn't have to be exact, but it's good to get it as close as you can. And we'll just kind of place that there like that. It's just a nice tall building that adds a little bit of character. All right, and now we need the buildings on this side of the street. And once again, let's come down and grab our foundation block here. And we're going to put this right here, one nudge out from the edge of that brick underneath. Trying to give you a good look at that. And then back up to the buildings drawer, and we'll put the rest of those foundation pieces in once we get there. Let me get over to my screen grabs here. Okay, so yeah, we're going to use this building, and this fits right in here like that. And then we're going to put this one in here. Make it flush with the front of that building, and you'll notice there's a gap in the back. Don't worry about that. And now we're getting up to Mike and Sully's street. And so in order to see that dome, we want to make sure we put our shorter buildings in here. So we're going to put another one of these. And then another one of these. We don't want to use these because they're a little too tall. Although we can do that down here because now we're off of the street there. And then just to alternate things a little bit, so it's not too repetitive, we'll put those in like that. And then we'll go back down to Building Sets Group 2. Oops, it reset that drawer on me. We'll scroll back over to the Bistro building. We're going to drop this down right like that. Put two of those down. One of the florist buildings. And one of these. And then back up to buildings. And we'll put a couple of buildings behind that just to block that in and prevent you from seeing all the ugliness on the backside over there. Alright, so there is the street and the neighborhood, and it's all blocked in. And let's grab our little terrain foundation piece here and run this all the way down. Like that. And again, if you're using the other option, you'll be putting basic blocks in here like I showed you at the end of the previous video. Okay, so there we go. That's looking pretty good. Now let's work on the storefronts. And you're going to find those up under the buildings category. And that's these right along here. And this is going to give us some storefronts along here. It's also going to cover up this ugly terrain block underneath, which doesn't meet anything on this side of the street. And we can put in a couple of different ones of these to mix this up a little bit. So now we have some storefronts along there, and that looks pretty nice. It's pretty basic, but it's a nice detail anyway. Get over to my other side here. It's just scrolling through my screenshots, so sorry about that. We'll put some storefronts along here, and this covers up the gaps underneath there as well, which is a good thing. So that looks pretty good. Then we'll come around the corner, we'll lift this one up because we're going to put some stairs along the back here. There we go. That looks nice. And then, while we're right over here, looks like actually, sorry about that, take that piece out and drop the building down. It actually goes down there. And we're going to put a couple of these on the front. So this isn't going to be an apartment building, just a storefront. This one down here, though, will be an apartment building. And we'll put this on the front of this one, so it kind of looks like it might be a fancy hotel or something. Okay, and then let's go to the opposite corner. Sorry about the little delay there between things. I'm kind of flipping through my screenshots here to see exactly which storefronts that I used. Not that it probably really matters, but I know many of you want to recreate this exactly as you saw it in the playthrough video, so I want to make sure I'm recreating this as accurately as I can. Some of you don't mind deviating from what I had and doing your own thing and using what I have as a basis, and that's fine too. But I know a lot of you really like to have exactly what I have. There we go. Okay, so there are the storefronts. And then we'll come over here and pick up our stairs. And we'll come over and add these in. Oops. And this really helps it feel like Mike and Sully's neighborhood, so I really like this. Alright, so there we go. There's all of our stairs. It's really starting to take shape now, and I really like how that's starting to look. Okay, at this point, just flipping through my screen grabs here. Yeah, so at this point what you would do is grab some of these little ledge pieces, some of the awnings like we used last time, and put in the street lamps and the trees, and that's going to take a little bit of time, so I'm going to do all of that offline because you don't need to watch me place all of those. And when I get back in a moment, I'll show you the final result of where to put all of those things, and you can see what to do. Okay, we are back, and I have added in all of the remaining details. And let me give you a quick little tour here so you can see what exactly I've done. And we'll start with this side of the street. Notice all of the little awnings, and these are the same things we put in last time, so I'm not going to show you where all of these are in the toy box because you saw that last time. You can see how the trees are placed. Notice they're right up next to the edge of the road. And we also have the same lamppost we had last time. We'll just continue down the street here. Notice we have the same green awnings that we put on this side of the building. I've carried them around to this side. This building I didn't put anything on there because you don't have to do this on every building. You can save a little bit of memory by skipping awnings and things. But we put a few on this side. We put some on this side. And I did not put any awnings here because I don't have enough memory to go really nuts with the decorations, but if you're on a system with more memory, you can add in more details here. Alright, coming around this side, notice the awnings on the building, the street lights and the tree placements. And we've also added some climbing pipes here. Now, if you're doing the extra details that I showed you at the end of the last episode, the placement of the pipe climbs is going to have to be different for you. You're going to have to pull this out and put it on the front corner of this building, because the path with the blocks connected is going to be running up the corner of the building. So the same thing with these. You may have to try to squeeze these in along the middle of the building here, and perhaps skip the awnings or do something a little different there. Possibly connect these to a path so that you can run these up between the awnings, but I'm not sure if the characters will fit when they're climbing up there, so you may have to do a little finagling. You might have to perhaps skip the blocks that would go up the middle of this building, move the pipe climbs over there to cover up that gap. You'll have to be a little creative about that. But let's get back to our little tour here. Notice the ledges and the awnings over there on those buildings. And then we'll spin it around and we'll go around the outside of this. So again, notice the tree placements and the buildings. I put this little theater marquee on the front of this building. You find that in Building Sets Group 2. And again, I didn't put any details on the other buildings there because I just don't have the memory for it. I did put this little advertising piece, though, on the front of this building, this striped billboard. I thought that added a nice little detail. Gotta have a little something. Again, if you have more memory, you can put some extra details on those buildings. Alright, tree placements on this end. Let me try to give you a good look at this from different directions. These trees you don't want to put too close to the road because the player is going to come screaming around this corner on a race. And so you want to give them a little bit of forgiveness down here. And then we have these little sidewalk tables for the cafe. This is from Building Sets Group 3 from the Main Street USA buildings. I've got a pipe climb on the back side of this building over here. Again, these are from Building Sets Group 2. And you can see all of the tree placements and awning placements and the things that I've done here. And feel free to pause the video along the way. Alright, so a couple of details here to wrap this up. You'll notice we have some gaps behind these buildings. We need to plug those gaps. And we can do that with a piece of terrain. We'll use this piece right here, and we need to style this to use Dusty Crop Hopper's runway, same theme as the rest of our sidewalks. And just plug these so the player doesn't get stuck behind those gaps. Okay, so there's that. And then over here, we need some railings up on the expressway overpass. And let me see, the quickest way to get to those, I think if we pick this up, put it back, and you go to the left, here you have the city railings. And this is what we're going to use for the railings on the overpass. This will add a very nice little detail on here, and it'll also be practical because it'll keep the vehicles from flying off of this during a race. And we can't place them up along here, but you don't have to because we're going to have buildings like we have over here. So you have those railings, and do the same thing on this side. Again, it just adds a really nice finishing touch for the freeway overpasses that I really like. And every little bit of detail that you can add is a good thing. Of course, you don't have unlimited memory, so you have to be selective about the details that you do put in. But I think that adds just a very nice little detail. It's looks good, and it's also practical. Well, I think that's a good stopping point for today. Next time, we'll put in the tall domed building that you can see from Mike and Sully Street, and we'll finish building the city. Thank you for watching. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my build so far. What would you do differently to spruce up their neighborhood and make it look even better? I'd love to know. And be sure to come back on Monday as I continue the build, or better yet, subscribe to my channel so you'll always know when I release a new episode. Well, that's all for me today. Take care.